Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Podcast. Talking transfer deadline day. It happened earlier in the week. We're a few days late here, but we got a special guest joining us. Jack Burkart is on the show. Also, Ryan Belongia. I am Adam Zdroik. If you're looking for NFL DFS content, guess what? Me and Ryan did a show earlier today. Check that out on the RotoWire NFL page. But we're talking football, European football, not American football here. Jack, welcome back. I want to ask here, has your soccer knowledge decreased or increased since joining Underdog?
I don't know. Sometimes some things slip me by. Like I was DMing you guys. I'm like, Ben Godfrey plays for Ipswich Town now. Like this dumbfounded me, and he transferred in from Atalanta. So I could have sworn he was just on the dregs of Everton. So I think my Premier League knowledge has gone down. But like I'm starting to know like these dudes from like Werder Bremen and stuff, and like all these Bundesliga teams. Like I actually knew who Patrick Dorgu is. So it's helping me become a more global person, Adam. I'll put it that way. Less focused on the Premier League. And now, I just really appreciate these 0-0 La Liga slogs between Villarreal and Real Valladolid or whatever. So, yeah, I'm Mr.
Valladolid.
Valladolid.
We're going to get you working on your Spanish here. Ryan's going to
Steve.
help as well, his Spanish wife. So,
And if Valladolid can keep that clean sheet today, it'll go a long way.
Speaking of Dorgu, I just got to throw this out here. So he had his debut today. This game's going on right now. Manchester United home against Leicester City in the FA Cup. He was yanked at halftime.
Oh,
I'm just going to read these stats out. Manchester United home against Leicester City. 0.04 XG, 2 shots. None on target.
I hate United.
Is that the team stat for United?
That is the team stat through 53 minutes right now. And
who else? Did anyone else get subbed?
No, that's it. It's basically A squads here in the FA Cup, and those are the numbers here. So shouts to Dorgu on his Manchester United debut.
I spent up for him in the interleague today. Jammed him in showdown 2. Sharp.
Ryan, this is not a DFS DraftKings show. We are only talking Underdog DFS.
United are the worst.
Yeah, United have been pretty bad. So have my Tottenham Hotspur. Maybe a good question is which team is worse these days, because it's just like I can't watch. I can still watch Tottenham actually. Like it was bad in like the Mourinho days and like the Conte days when like Antonio Conte somehow made Youngman's son bad. Like I just couldn't watch the team, and I stopped watching soccer for like 6 months because of it. It was that dire. Although I still somehow love Mourinho, but anyways.
Speaking of Tottenham,
Spurs can't defend, and then like I have no idea what's going on. But like United are just inept, and they have this like great manager apparently, and they can't do anything because they just have a bunch of geriatric dudes rolling out of position. So I don't know who's worse. It's both teams are just a complete dumpster fire.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit here. RotoWire.com/soccer. You can check out our depth charts. I got that up on the page if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter. Also, RotoWire.com/soccer trial. It's a 48-hour trial. The depth chart here for Tottenham. And we saw, the 4-0 loss at Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. Kevin Donzo got his debut start there. It went well for 20, 30 minutes, and then things kind of fell apart. Another injury to Richarlison. That's unfortunate. Matthias Tell had to come in the 30th minute. So Spurs added some guys. Will it mean anything is the question. And I guess the rest of their season, a lot of this we're going to look at some transfers. We're going to look at, kind of what the outlook on some of these teams is going forward. But they added, so they got Donzo on the back line. They didn't really add much if we're really looking at it, diving down deep here. But they added Tell. So I guess the question is, given how they've looked, do these transfers even do anything unless guys like Van de Ven, Madison, Brennan Johnson, Solanke are back healthy? Do the transfers mean anything or is it more relying on the injured guys getting back to health kind of a thing?
I think when you watch the team, I think we know how this works, right? Like Spurs play with this really psycho, aggressive back line that pushes really high up the pitch. And basically to make this thing work, it requires one of the most athletic center backs in the world in Mickey Van de Ven. And then Cuti Romero's a really good center back, and he's an excellent ball distributor. So he's able to do a lot of creative things. And those two are hurt, and the team's just a disaster otherwise. And I just don't see how much can change. Radu Dragusin is just not that good anymore. Like Ben Davies is a rotational player. He's been a career veteran. I just don't see how you can make it work with this defense. You don't have great center backs. You have Pedro Porro, who's more of an attacking player. Mo Hendy calls him the best right back in the world, but maybe as a wing back, but as a straight up fullback, I'm just not sold on that. Jed Spence has been a revelation, but I think you need to get these center backs sorted out, or you need to get like a really solid defensive midfielder, because I don't know, like Bentancur and Bissouma are fine and Sarr are fine, but I don't know, nothing's really shielding Tottenham from conceding too often. I don't see how any of the business really helps that.
Yeah, it just seems like they need Van de Ven back. They need their guys back. They need Romero back. And until that happens, it's going to be kind of what's been going on. Ryan, what are your thoughts on, Matthias Tell has had an off and on intro to his early career where, a big name, maybe not a big name, but, he's at Bayern Munich, doesn't really get the opportunities, has sparks. He's not Solanke. He's not Richarlison. What do you think he brings to Spurs going forward here?
I mean, yeah, I'd be excited about him if I was Spurs fans. We haven't seen a lot of him recently. I'm not really sure what his best position is, but he's at least like better than what they have and more potential than guys like Timo Werner and even like Odegaard and Richarlison. Like, those guys are nice players, but probably not what you need to be a top team. Like Tell at least had that potential. Like internationally, he was thought of that way too, and he's still super young. So I'd be excited about that. But yeah, I agree with Jack. Like it's not going to matter right now, or even that's what you said. It's not going to matter right now. They might need a new manager. They need players back healthy. Like it's just not a good team with no center backs. Like the midfield's not great. Like aging attackers, sort of. I'm talking about Son, really, but like Tell's at least something that a spark.
So I know Tell is like only 19, and we've seen him on the Bayern bench for a while. It just troubles me that he hasn't been able to enforce more playing time, and I don't know if that's a function of Vincent Kompany being the manager over there and just not having his trust, but like you see guys like Thomas Mueller still earning starts, and I feel like you can reconfigure these attacking players. Like I know that Leroy Sané is a great player and Kingsley Coman are a great player, but I feel like an ascending talent should be able to start displacing these guys a little bit more. But I don't know, maybe it just takes a while for these teenagers to get it together, right? Like Martin Odegaard was on Real Madrid at age 16, didn't really do much and kind of it wasn't like he was bad at Arsenal, but, slower start. And then he eventually, once he got enough minutes in. So maybe we see that sort of thing, and you just have to give him a chance because he's young. It's just, if you haven't really proved it yet and you kind of get to bully a lot of pretty bad teams in the Bundesliga, it just gives me some pause that is he actually going to live up to that potential?
Definitely. I mean, I thought the same, but I do think Sane, Coman, Gnabry, and Olise, like being in front of him, it's tough to it's tough to unseat all of them. Like he would have had to have some really good standout games, not just like be okay. But yeah, I would have expected him to take off a little bit more in a team that good, but Bayern probably not the right team for him. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like people thought, like, is João Palhinha bad? And he can't get a game. They say he's for real. Like, he sucks now. I don't know about that.
No, I mean, that's a good point. João Palhinha
and Thomas Muller, like, even him too. That's like, it's tough to, it's tough for guys like that to even get games over a legend like Muller until he retires,
Yeah, the classic Mesut Ozil problem.
Yeah, I guess he's not like Lamine Yamal, right?
He's not hurting you either. Like Muller's not really hurting you when you bring him on as a sub when you're winning, or
he knows what he's doing
for like 20 minutes. Yeah, he's not going to hurt you. So
Well, and like when these young players, like maybe we just expect him to be like Yamal. It's like, oh, he's not like playing as well as Yamal. Like he's not even that good. So maybe sort of reasonable.
Right.
Do
to have
people
those
say
types of
that
expectations.
he's not as good
Well,
as
I'm just saying,
Yamal?
like, this is what we expect. Like, in the NFL, the
Yamal is
first-year
like
wide receivers are like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. We think all these guys stink if they aren't instantly absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And so, like, tells a promising 19-year-old, and we're like, oh, he's not a crusher already. Like, it takes some time.
I think that's a bad take if anyone says that Yamal is like, I don't know.
Well, I
You
made
can't
it up,
compare any. Yeah,
Adam.
I know, but you just you just can't really. I mean, you can't expect any sub 20-year-old to be on the level of like a Yamal, the Saka, or whatever. Like, you got to give guys time, and if you put too much pressure on them, sometimes guys aren't ready for it and they falter. But I just looked up the next manager to be sacked odds. Unsurprisingly, Ange is favored. He is 4 to 6 odds here. Van
4 to
Nistelrooy,
6. What is this? The horse track? Can we like do this in decimal,
4 to
please?
6.
yeah, I don't know what the conversion is. I'll figure that out. I'm using European sites here. They don't have these kind of odds in
Oh
American
God,
odds.
Niholio saying Tell is closer to Doku right now. I hate Jeremy Doku. Oh, just when Jeremy Doku went to City, I know Ryan's like, oh man, he adds an element no one else on City has. And like what? He just like dribbles into people? Like it's unreal.
That's what I
Pretty
said,
unreal.
right? Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
Minus 150 next odds to be sacked there on Postacoglu. So,
But Jack, you remember that? Remember for a time, like people were like, "Oh, Doku is in City's best 11." Oh, look, now that they have Doku, like there was like a
people love Doku the
couple
first 2
games
months
and
of the
just
season.
and at the start, yeah, when
People said he was their best player, like after the first.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He
People
could be
have
good too.
takes.
Like someone like Doku might be better on another team too. But
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Tottenham could use a player like that. I'm not saying he's like that, but
let's move to Arsenal here. Arsenal didn't add anyone, so it's not really it's a dead. It highlights the dead part in deadline. Dead for no transfers for Arsenal. They didn't get anyone. Sorry, Ryan. But let me pull up the odds here. So this is the top 4 odds. Winning for the Premier League plus 350 Arsenal. Liverpool minus 400. What's the outlook here on Arsenal? Saka still, he's probably about a month away. They're down in Dubai right now training or whatever. He might be coming back soon. But, you got these guys coming up, Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri. You got these young guys showing some sparks. Does that have any effect here on what we're looking at going forward? Champions League play? Maybe, maybe Liverpool wins at Everton in a few days from now. That Merseyside derby, I think, is next midweek. So maybe they get that win. They're up 9 points at that point. Maybe we're throwing out the Premier League. Is the goal here for Arsenal Champions League, or Ryan shaking his head? What's your goal?
I don't know. Like it's a travesty to not sign an attacker. Like you just throwing away another season. Really, they didn't sign one in the summer. They didn't sign one. And they needed one in the summer. They really needed one after Jesus went down. Like it already cost them the cup. Tell
us about Kai Havertz.
Scoreless against Newcastle. I mean, Kai wasn't bought to be a striker. He's serviceable in that role because he's just like good at everything else. But he wasn't bought to be a number 9 and score a bunch of goals. Like also, if you want to be a top team, you can't just have like one makeshift striker. There's not even a backup. Like and I don't think it's Arteta. They lost Edu because they didn't want to give him a bag. I think it's probably the Cronkies, just like pinching pennies. I heard that Arteta signed off on 10 different players and like 5 different guys over the winter. And the thing with Ollie Watkins that came out, Arsenal bid 40 mil and Villa's like, you can have him for 60. And Arteta's like, yeah, for sure. And Arteta and Arsenal didn't do it. I don't know. There's other guys too. So I don't know. I'm sure they're gonna buy one of the top guys in the summer, like a Nico Williams. Even they're gonna buy someone like that and a center forward, Isak or whoever else. But like they kind of blew this season. Like Champions League still alive, of course. The title's still on for now, but I don't know. They dropped too many points by not scoring goals.
Can you tell me what Kai Havertz's best position is? Like that's always been a struggle with me because it's
I
just
don't
like
know
one
if
of these
anybody
players
really
who's certainly
knows.
talented, but
Yeah, I mean it's like probably somewhere in like on the left side of an attacking. Like when they have probably the position Declan plays sometimes when he's a little bit more
That's
forward.
what I was gonna say, like some kind of a 4-3-3 in the midfield there.
Or like even a position that like Julian Alvarez played for City when City were at their best.
Behind a
I
number
don't know.
9.
Or like a little bit more centrally. But yeah, it is weird like that. It's tough with Kai because you look at him and he's not like amazing maybe at any one position. Yeah, I don't know. Like you don't want you don't want him as your striker. He's not like an out and out goal scorer.
not a false nine or anything. I don't know. The player he always reminds me of, and it's probably a bad comparison, but like Tottenham could never find the best position for Dele Alli, and he could do a lot of things really well, but it was just like tough to do it. It's not the same thing, but
How's Dele Alli doing at Como these days?
I don't think he's gotten any play time. I do
Oh,
know a little
no,
bit
he's
about
hurt.
Como. That's another team I am privy to. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the attack's very strong, Ryan. Like, how much stronger is the Arsenal forwards with Saka hurt than Tottenham? Like, it's not significantly a level above.
It's interesting, and then they just blew City away 5-1, also, or whatever that was.
Who's better, Raheem Sterling or Timo Werner?
That's a gross question, Adam.
It always was Sterling. I don't know anymore.
It's pretty close now.
Kai, people have compared Kai to Muller too. Yeah, I don't know. Arsenal are so good everywhere. It's like doing them a disservice not to have that. It's like Arteta wants to prove people wrong. He thinks
it's an amazing defense, right?
It's going to make them worse defensively. I don't know.
But good midfield.
Every Arsenal fan I know is not happy about it.
Would you rather bet them plus 600 to win Champions League or plus, 350 to win the Premier League?
Well, I don't know. In the Premier League, you only need something to happen to one team or one team to fail, really. So I get the odds, but it doesn't seem like Liverpool are going to slip up, right? It doesn't at all.
You think a lack of not adding a forward is just going to cost them in the Champions League, or
I don't know. No, they can still beat anyone over two legs.
Right.
How good the defense is. So no, the Champions League's still on the table. But I mean, it'll be the game against Bayern last season kind of ended in the same way with Arsenal not being able to score. They were clearly the better team in the first leg. Got unlucky when Bayern scored at the end, and then couldn't score against. Yeah, so I don't know. I think you're going to see that. We've seen Arsenal have 0-0 games against weaker teams in the Premier League where they can't score without set pieces. But Lewis Skelly, you said. I mean, poor Calafiori. Is he just out in the cold now? I mean, we were so excited for him. Lewis Skelly's just too good that he can't even be back in the team.
He hasn't been 100%, I think, is part of the reason. So it's like
that is part of the reason.
Every time he comes back, he gets hurt again. So I think they're just kind of building up his fitness a little bit.
I wonder if they're going to have to even find a new position. I mean, Lewis Skelly used to be a midfielder, but I don't think Calafiori – like Lewis Skelly might just be the best. He might be Nuno Mendes mixed with Alphonso Davies. That's his ceiling.
A combined version of Davies and Mendes. Interesting.
I need to watch some more Arsenal, I guess. All right. I mean,
spoken like an Arsenal fan.
The most talked about team this season, I think you could argue, is Manchester City. And Manchester City did, I think, the most business in the transfer window. The January transfer window, at least the most money. I think Como actually had the most deals. If I saw that correctly, if people on Twitter aren't lying to me, Como had like 10 deals. Manchester City had the most money. So they added Kusanov here. This big Kusanov guy got his first start, made made a mistake right away.
Felt so bad for him.
Then he got taken off. I don't know if he's played since then. They added Vitor Reyes, but I don't really think he's going to get a ton of minutes this season. The big one is Nico. They just added him. He hasn't played yet. Jack has a bigger read that he wants to do on Nico here, but Nico is going to help without Rodri, supposedly going to help in that spot where kind of Gundogan was there for a lot of times, but he's just too old to really hold that position. Kovacic is Kovacic. He's not really the guy you want there consistently. And they also added Marmoush, who has started the last 2 league games. So do these additions help Man City get back to the team we've seen in the past, or do we think the past 2-3 months is going to be more of the same? They're currently 5th in the table, 2 points behind Chelsea, 6 points behind Nottingham Forest. Do they get back in the top 4, or is there more struggles for this team? I guess throw it to Jack here because I know he has some big Man City takes.
Well, I think from reading the various newsletters, like the thing that's been consistent with Man City, it's not as good as it has been, but their attacking numbers are still pretty strong overall. They just are a team that concede like a lot of high quality chances based on how they play, and without Rodri, that number has just gone up, and this is causing them to lose more games. And I think you could probably pinpoint it onto the central midfield. First of all, their defense is pretty hurt, so that isn't very helpful. And I think losing Kyle Walker, he hasn't been that good, but you just kind of lose a Swiss Army knife player. So their defense is still thin, but man, I just don't think you can have like a central midfielder of like core of Gundogan and Kovacic at their ages, replacing what Rodri could do, defensively and sort of getting distributing the ball at the start. So I think taking a player like Nico Gonzalez, who might be able to be like 60% of Rodri, I think that will maybe let them play in a way that's more comfortable for them. This Kushinov seems like a name for the future and needs some time to develop. And then, Marmoush, it seems like he was fabulous immediately. I'm curious about Ryan's thoughts.
Yeah, my thoughts are that Marmoush has looked great, and like everything that I read about him, like seems like a top player. It's weird that he's 26 and didn't really emerge until, at least emerge as an elite talent until more recently. But they need that. Like Jack said, they're aging and they don't have a lot of like speed either in the attack. Like without Doku, especially like, KDB, Grealish, Bernardo, all those guys are like slow by Premier League attacking standards. So like Marmoush can sort of take over the attack. City should be fine. Any team that spends the money they spend. But yeah, I don't know. Rodri was a big loss. It's tough to keep that level forever. For me, what's annoying is because like, remember, I don't really know how to say it, but like, why couldn't this have happened just like a little bit sooner? Remember like all the times like I faded Haaland, fade Haaland, fade Haaland, fade Haaland, fade Haaland, because it's just like so ridiculous and not real. Now we're seeing like what a normal season looks like, especially from like a striker like him. Look at how many times over and over he busted. It doesn't matter about the spots. So like, Jack, I'm just tilting from all the times I ran horribly fading Haaland now that he's running like a normal player.
To be clear, you're talking about fading him in underdog.
In underdog, that's right. Fading him in any format.
Even the stupid fantasy Premier League I play with my friends, I try to not play Haaland. It's just unreal. I never time the market correctly. Maybe it should be like your maybe we should just be dollar cost averaging.
Too early to it. You just like yet again.
Too early to the fade is
yeah.
Quite the cope. I don't know. One thing I know, like Marmoush is like a really energetic and athletic player. And I don't really know Haaland's game that well, but I know Haaland is also a freak athlete. And at Dortmund, he was asked to be a little bit more involved in the ball. So like on City, like basically Haaland always needs to be fed. So some of these things, I wonder why can't Haaland be more involved in the buildup and the attack, because he might have some of the traits to to do it.
I mean,
it
it's
just
out
is
of-
something that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I don't know any ball.
It's like, honestly, it's like asking why can't Chris Wood be more involved in the build.
But is he that limited a player, Holland, that he can't offer anything like that? I've seen some highlights. He has some skill, like from his.
I think it's just the way. I think it's the way just Pep plays. I think it's just based around Pep and what he wants to do.
I don't know, it's not like a conviction take. It's like an I wonder, which I wonder a lot of things.
So I guess he has 19 goals in the season. The odds on him and Solid the most goals is about even for them. So you look at the two games where Marmoush started. Holland had 3 chances created in that game. This is the win against Chelsea, home against Chelsea, 1-3-1. It was pretty solid debut from Marmoush there. He had a goal. Holland had a goal and assist. And then I almost want to throw, at Arsenal is like the toughest game in the league, maybe outside of at Liverpool at this point. So do we look at this Chelsea game and it's like, okay, this was one of their better games of the season and it was Marmoush's debut. Do we kind of look at that and look at what Holland's numbers did? He's still in the same role, but I mean, I don't know why, his chances created went up in this game. But do we think maybe Holland gets back to prior season levels with Marmoush? Or are we just trying to find ways to go back to prior seasons when Holland was, favored to get a brace every game?
I want to punt this to Ryan because Ryan, I heard people say like Marmoush is like the Alvarez replacement. Like, is that the thing for this or?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I've seen people say like Alvarez bigger loss than people thought.
Well, I think he's the KDB replacement.
Jack called that way back when. But Adam, to your question, like, yeah, maybe, but like it can't really get better than peak De Bruyne and Foden. I mean,
that's what I'm talking
can't
about.
Really get better than that was.
They don't have peak KDB anymore. So it's like Marmoush coming in, maybe he brings back like help. Peak KDB. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it might help, but I don't know if you can ever like reach that level. He's going to have to be incredible.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is like KDB.
They're going to be fine, dude. Like City, obviously, dude. The players are amazing. They ran a little bit bad probably over this run too, but I don't know. Like, can't be just the best team in history forever.
Jack, would you rather take Arsenal plus 600 or Man City plus 1,000 to win Champions League?
Oh man, they both feel like maybe City. I think I don't know. I think City can get a little bit more healthy, and Arsenal without a striker in some of these cup ties, like I just think they're going to expose themselves to too many bad outcomes. Whereas see how City can like throttle up.
Those are the Champions League odds. I hadn't seen. Interesting. Arsenal's second favorite. Wow, a lot of respect.
It's a pretty open field.
Wow, it is an open field. I don't think I would have expected Arsenal to be above. Maybe it has something to do with matchups.
I haven't looked at this. So the top 8, how are they matched up against in the next round?
You know why, Adam? It's because Arsenal have a bye, and Madrid.
Yeah, so the top 8 teams,
City.
like the top 8 teams have buys here.
So like Arsenal have a way better chance to win the win than City because City have to play Madrid first. Like,
yeah. No. I take this back. No,
that's why they're plus 1,000.
Real Madrid are going to destroy City.
So like the bet would be if you have a take on who's going to win that, like take Madrid because then Madrid will go to like plus 400 if they beat City, right? Or plus 300 or you know.
Yeah, still, I mean, doesn't it? I guess I should know some of these matchups, but there's 8 teams with buys. I think I don't know. These odds just are. As usual, they're just heavily favored here towards Premier League teams. And you look at Barcelona, you look at Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Like, we don't really like the way that Bayern Munich are playing under company. Barcelona, Real Madrid, their defenses have been pretty bad this season. Like, why can't it be an Inter Milan, a PSG, Atletico Madrid? Like, why can't it be one of the seasons where those teams win? Like, I just like those odds.
It could be. I think you're like, it could be, but also none of those teams you mentioned are that great. Like the Premier League teams probably are better, like you said, right? Like better than Bayern this year, better than Barca. All these Inter has been struggling even a little. I don't know.
I think Liverpool are notably probably the most solid team in Europe, but like we just spent 10 minutes talking about a lack of forward for Arsenal and how they struggled last season against Bayern Munich. I just think, we have the PSG added Kvaratskhelia and have looked really good at times
Yeah, I think it's
recently.
open. I think it's more. It seems kind of wide open.
Atletico can beat anyone on a good day.
I'd love to see Bayern win it, but I'm just like a Harry Kane fan till the day I die. It would just be nice to see him
Right,
spearhead
Harry
one of
Kane.
these.
Yeah, I'm a
What
Vincent
about
Company
Villa?
fan to the day I
How about
die.
Villa?
No,
Just a transition.
I think
Transition.
Aston
Oh, that's-
Villa,
yeah.
Villa
Aston
and
Villa
their
at plus
transfer dealings.
4,000 is a waste of money. Aston Villa are not winning Champions League. I'm sorry.
Marcus Rashford scoring the winner. I think Ryan's right. Aston Villa's transfer dealings, they're kind of puzzling. They added a lot of attackers, so I thought Daniel Malin was a good piece of business. I thought he was like 30. Turns out he's only 25, and they got him for like $25 million. Like, he's a player who's been like pretty good at the international level. I think he's someone who can offer someone. I mean, I think Leon Bailey stinks, so just like take Leon Bailey out of the lineup and give me some Malin. And then Axel Disasi is a good player too that they added to their defense. I'm not sure about Rashford. Rashford just might be one of these like spoiled United kids who's just like never upped his game.
His
The
career
one
might be
I'm wondering
done.
about, Marco Asensio, like he's a player like I haven't seen him play in years. Like all I remember about Marco Asensio is just being like pretty good for Real Madrid and then just disappeared onto the bench of PSG. But apparently he's had pretty good attacking outputs. It's not the strongest league, but you have to be intrigued by signing a player with that sort of pedigree.
Yeah, he was basically dropped in. There may have been a dust up at some point because he basically was dropped. He wasn't getting minutes starting in December here. He was getting regular minutes. Either, I don't know. I guess Desiree Douillet got more minutes at this point, so he was in there with Dembele, with Barcola, with Kang, with all those guys. So maybe he just lost any kind of role at PSG, but he obviously at Real Madrid he is intriguing. I just think they added they added these players. Disasi obviously shores up their center backs. They've been playing with one center back because they've had so many injuries lately. More or less kind of takes the Diego Carlos role, who is Galatasaray somewhere in Turkey now. So they have another center back. Great. They're still a team that, gives up a counter goal basically every game. It feels like Emi Martinez is making a mistake every game, trying to figure out their midfield with Kamara and Onana. Onana was great to open the season when they first got him. He hasn't really shown too much lately. Basically, everyone on their team has been injured at some point. So you throw all that in there, and then you just have these wingers that Jack just mentioned, and none of them you would say are elite and game changing, but maybe Emery figures it out and they're going to be awesome. But I still kind of just have overall doubts about what these additions are going to mean here for the future. Ryan, what's your take on Aston Villa? They've probably, in league play, they've been, I'd say, disappointing. Champions League, I think they started with 4 straight clean sheets, something like that. But it's not like they were dominating matches. They beat Bayern Munich after being dominated. They got that counter goal off them. So does anything change here for Aston Villa with these additions? They're 8th in the table, 37 points.
I mean, they needed some goals. I don't know if these are the players I would sign. Maybe all 4 of these guys can like equal
We should mention
one.
Duran is also no longer there.
Right. And did they sign Philogene in the summer?
They did,
Yeah.
but now he's on Ipswich.
And he didn't work out. So like nothing they've really had has worked out. They got rid of Buendia to Leverkusen. So like maybe all these guys can combine into like, I don't know. I have doubts about them all. Malin seems like the best. The other ones seem like they could be good subs. Like they could find form here and there, but like Asensio used to be really excited about him. he's got all the skill, but the Premier League seems like the worst league for him out of all the leagues. He's not like, because physically is what holds him back. He's going to be slower and not as quick as he relies on technical skill.
He's Spanish buds with Emery, so
he can come in though in the second half. He could be a good sub. Malin, former Arsenal player. He seems like he has potential sometimes. Like probably the best bet of the bunch. Rashford, dude. I don't know, man. The pictures of Rashford at Aston Villa, like, just like don't look right. I don't know.
Is he a little chubby, or
he like aged 10 years overnight? Like the weirdest smile. Yeah, he does look a little bit bigger. I don't know. Like something just. How
he
can
he probably hasn't been training?
Yeah, I mean, he was supposedly like for each of these the last two United managers to just like want to get rid of him and not even really give him much of a chance, like especially Amorim, just like no chance at all, really. It's got to say something, because especially if you have, Højlund and Xerxes and Garnacho and Anthony, just a bunch of guys that can't do. I mean,
this is the picture Ryan's talking about.
It doesn't even look like the same guys, kind of. I don't know, but like if you can't get in to use Rashford when you have the Xerxes and Anthony and guys that have been horrible,
struggling.
I don't know. It's like I don't know if Rashford still has it anymore. He might have fell off pretty quickly.
Might be a mental
if he
thing.
does, I don't know. It could be. Yeah, it could, like you can get it back too, because for a time, like Rashford was on his way to being like top. He was like $100 million guy. Even a couple of years ago, Arsenal were like maybe in for him, and all the Arsenal fans wanted him. So I mean, he used to be the real deal. But I don't know. I don't mind taking the gamble, but if I was Villa, I probably would have signed some. I mean, younger, more physically capable. I don't know.
This is what happens when you crack open the FIFA career mode save, and then just like the AI teams just like start doing weird stuff.
It seemed like there are a bunch of signings that they're like, well, we're Aston Villa. We shouldn't be able to get guys with these names, but because they like have some baggage or things wrong with them, we can. So we got to do it anyways, because like just maybe, like, what if?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. Yeah, it's just like let's throw them in, see what happens. They needed backups for Ramsey and Bailey, and let's hope for something. Maybe one of these guys can find form again.
Because they're all players that are like out of form and cheaper than they would have been a couple years ago. I mean, like, there are people that thought Rashford would never leave United. He'd be there forever, scoring 200 goals. Like, it looked like that for a while.
And that was 2 seasons ago. So
yeah, I mean, I remember talking about on shows, even like with Jack, to just play Rashford every week. Do you remember that? Remember that season when he scored every week, basically?
Yeah, and I was refusing to play Rashford.
Yeah.
I think there's an FA Cup game, and I did really well, and Rashford had a goal called off, and then Opta rewarded it a day later. But I still got.
Oh, I do. I remember
that's what that required. But Rashford kind of stinks now. I heard some Xerxes slander, but he scored a goal off the bench for United in the 68th minute. So shout out
Joshua
Xerxes.
Might be okay.
He's good.
He's good at scoring goals. He's a good finisher. It's again, I don't know if the Premier League's the right league for him. Might be too slow.
Ryan, what if Arsenal had Rasmus Højlund? Would you like that?
I mean, he's much better than nothing. Yeah, I would take that, because Højlund, I would take it right now, at least for the second half of this season. Maybe not for the future, but I think Højlund could score goals on Arsenal.
Yeah, he's still 22. I feel like
he's 22.
The first few games I saw with him with United, he was strong. He was strong in front of net. He could hold the ball up. He could score.
Yeah.
And then he's just he just isn't doing anything anymore.
He needs some confidence, but physically he has everything.
I think if he's in the right situation, he could be good, but he's not in the right situation. So that's what I'm saying. I think Arsenal would be like an ideal situation. It's not going to happen, but I feel like something like that where you actually, have a team, have a better team around you, have a better situation than basically everyone at Manchester United. It'd be
I
something
agree.
like that.
I mean, what, they paid like 80 million for him. People were calling him mini Holland, He
Yeah.
kind of was in that mold.
Yeah, it hasn't really worked out. You guys have any other thoughts for Premier League teams?
I was just wondering about trying to figure out what the heck is going on at Manchester United. Like, I'm looking at the lineup that they rolled out, and
Today?
yeah, like it seems like the wingbacks are really important, and like Amarim's been like trying guys like Dallo out as a wingback. I can't imagine that that's the type of player he wants playing wingback in his system. Mazraoui especially. Like, I think Dorgu is a really good signing. It seems like he can play on both sides of the pitch, and he's played some as like a left back and some as a forward. So maybe if they start making things like that work, Ahmad Diallo's been really good for United, and I think he can offer some stuff as a wingback or as a forward. But some of these guys are just like too slow. Like I don't know if like the central midfield needs to just be completely overhauled at that team. But like, where does Bruno fit on the team is kind of confusing. I just don't really know how you fix this, because it seems like Amarim's just been handed a bunch of square pegs that he has to shove into round holes, and a bunch of talented players. But like, what do you do with them? Like, when you have to, like, what do you do when you have to start Casemiro and Christian Eriksen? Like, you're almost like,
I don't think those guys play anymore. That's why.
But he's such a big ideologue. Like, this is where these managers get in trouble for like never compromising on their values, because it doesn't work with these United players. But this guy's supposed to be a genius. Like, how can he not adapt with at least some of these players? Like, Ugarte is a pretty good player. Bruno's not very athletic. Mainu is very good. There should be something that you'd be able to put together with this United team. I don't know. It's just been perplexing, but they've somehow been worse than Tottenham. So I've got that going for me.
Yeah, for being honest, like, if Amad Diallo wasn't awesome, they might have lost every game under Amarim. Like, how many games has he's had a hat trick. He's come back. He's had these late goals to get points for them.
We got a goal on the wire.
Yeah, so I think, well, at least the rest of this season, like, Dalot is going to be playing on the wing.
I'll take Højlund. Tell me Højlund, Jack.
Harry Maguire. Slap.
Okay. I think those are good points, though. I don't know. Ten Hag was supposed to be a tactical genius or whatever, too, though. And I don't know. Some of it has to be down to these players. I agree. They have some good pieces. Diallo's definitely a good piece. He's been great. He has some of the traits that Saka has, for sure. Mainu, I still really like Mainu. He's going to be there. He'll be one of the pieces, I think, in the center. But
I mean, how many guys do we like on this team, though?
They made a lot of mistakes with the signings. I don't know. I think they've made a lot of mistakes. You could say all their defenders have been mistakes.
I think their mistake was hiring Amarim, who only plays with 3 center backs, and they didn't have a squad for that. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's not going to happen this year,
right?
If that's how he's going to play, you got to let the guy get his guys in then.
So this is
Dorgu. Dorgu. Something came across my timeline of Dorgu. Is that his name? Dorgu. Yeah. His last 15 one-on-ones as a defender, and he got beat on all 15 of them or something. Like, yeah, he offers a ton attacking. But
I believe I read he's terrible defensively.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, it'll be interesting to see.
They did get 8 in heaven from Arsenal.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get minutes?
Yeah, they have a lot of, I don't know. Now Martinez is out for a while. Their center backs haven't been great. Maybe. I mean, it's fine for him because he's never going to make it in the Arsenal defense.
They have Lindelof and De Ligt on the bench today, but.
Can I say something? And it might be a very uneducated take, but we're 45 minutes in. So if you're still listening, then I guess
everyone's listening. We got 613 live listeners.
The bots are off of the X platform, though, I guess. So, like, So when Amarim was coming in, everyone was talking about what the great managerial signing this was because he's like, very tactically astute. But these managers that have like one trick, they almost always get exposed after a couple of years and whatever. It's not working for Amarim right now, but it's shocking that he's not able to adapt. And at some point, even if you have good players and you just use the same tactical system over and over again, I feel like you get exposed if you can't change it up. This is a problem with Ange Postecoglou, right? He has one way to play. And if he doesn't have two of the best center backs in the world, it's a disaster. But he doesn't change based on it, like no ability to adapt. The best managers, Pep changes his formation because he's bored and he's able to coax performances out. He's struggling right now, but like we've seen him be adaptable over previous years. Guys like Thomas Tuchel, I think, are able to play in different ways with different systems using the players that you have. So is this guy even that good a manager if he insists on saying, yeah, I got to play a back three with these guys? I'm sorry. It's the only thing I know what to do. Like, I'd be kind of annoyed if I was a United supporter and just seeing no willingness to adapt.
I think that's a fine take. Yeah, I don't know. Ten Hag couldn't really either. The thing sometimes that comes to mind with me is like these guys and him specifically, like crushed the Portuguese league with a superior team in almost every game. And Ten Hag crushed the Dutch league with a superior team in almost every game he played. Now, they did some things like in international competitions too. Yeah, looked good in Champions League or Europa League or whatever. But yeah, Premier League's a different animal. And I don't think that's a bad take necessarily. You gotta. There's not that many elite managers, maybe, and we say it people say it in all sports.
Yeah, I mean,
it's tough out there.
When I managed a JV girls soccer team 10 years ago, like I changed formations every game, and some people would consider me elite, but
it just shows some tactical flexibility. It shows that you have a great mind for the game. Even like Enzo Maresca for Chelsea. Chelsea play the same system every time, and he's run some players into the ground, and Chelsea have had spotty results. And I think this was a problem people had with him in his championship run at Leicester. Like
they fell off.
So some of these guys are really good at one thing. I don't know. I think maybe the lesson here is just to be very skeptical if someone is very good at one thing, and maybe just most managers just don't matter.
I mean, look at like what Andoni Areola's done. Or,
I was good.
guys
I thought you were
like
gonna.
that, or
I thought you were gonna
Eddie
say.
Howe even.
I thought you were gonna say Nuno.
Nuno. Sure, and look at Nuno, I guess, but. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Jack's point to an extent. I mean, let's all I'll give it some time too, because this United's team is a little bit toxic, and I don't know if anyone
that's a huge problem, right?
Would be able to make it look great right now. So we'll see. But yeah.
Before we head out, just want to bring up some European transfers that caught my eye. I already mentioned Kvaratskhelia to PSG, which I think Jack's newsletter, the Transfer Flow, has been kind of bashing that move, just because Barcola has been playing so well on the left wing, and they added a guy to basically take his spot. So I think today it was Barcola actually moved to the right wing, but. Did I mention Anthony and Cucho? I did before the show to Betis.
We did. Big day for Real.
Oh, Ryan, what are your thoughts on PSG?
Well, I love Kvaratskhelia, but yeah, that's interesting because Barcola's been amazing on the left. Like, so I guess you're gonna play KK there, right? Though I don't know, they're gonna have to change something up.
Yeah, they did. They did KK today on the left, Barcola on the right today.
Yeah, I wonder how that went. Barcola's been amazing, but Dembele had been playing on the right, so what? He played through the center more. I don't know. We'll see if the manager can make it work, but you can't really pass up on a talent like that. And Dembele's been amazing recently.
Dembele got a brace
against that front three,
playing centrally. Apparently,
I mean Dembele is on fire. I was thinking of him because I remember like our podcast with Pew, Jack, and just like the general sentiment around Dembele for the last year. But I think it's changed drastically in just like the past month even. So like imagine if a team like would have signed Dembele because he was on people's radars and some people thought he sucked. Nobody wanted him. I don't think people think that anymore. Sure, you probably have some out there, but like,
I think he was just always
fortunes
hurt.
Can change for these players pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, I was a little distracted. I was just looking at where Barcola and Kvaratskhelia were playing, and it looks like they were both getting heat map touches on both sides. So maybe if this
That'd
is
be
a
a
team
good
that's
idea.
fluid enough to just let these guys cook a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
think
that's
both
kind of
can
what
cook too on either side.
that's kind of what Savinho and Doku were doing early in the season for Man City. It was like who's playing well on what side, put them there. I mean,
even
it could work.
Dembele as a center forward. That doesn't. It looks like they played Barcola, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia as the forwards. Like that's just like a mixed bag attack of really good players that are just
throw
playing off each
Hakimi
other.
in. Throw Hakimi in there too, and then some young stud midfielders like João Neves, Zaire Emery, who are going to be amazing. Fabian Ruiz and Vitinha, who are already like pretty damn good.
Plus 1,400.
This is an interesting team. I was kind of not feeling PS. This is a pretty interesting.
They lose
squad.
Mbappe too. They lose Mbappe, lose Neymar, lose Messi. Even remember that? That wasn't so long ago. But yeah, no, I kind of like PSG.
I think this team's better than those teams.
They seem like it actually.
Obviously, I'm not watching every game in France, so it's not. Their numbers are always so inflated in France that you can't. It's always hard to compare to Champions League because French league is just like a level below. So those numbers are always, inflated a little bit, but 58 goals scored, 20 against. But yeah, they're plus 1,400. One other team, AC Milan, are plus 6,500. Obviously not on the same level, but they did some work on adding players who people are familiar with. Like they added Kyle Walker, they added Joao Felix, they added Santiago Jimenez. Like they added these guys who everyone knows about, who, Kyle Walker, whatever. But Felix has always been a guy who hasn't really clicked anywhere fully. Jimenez has been in transfer rumors for the past year, coming from Feyenoord. So, plus 6,500 win Champions League is one thing, but maybe win Serie A. Do you guys have any thoughts on Pulisic's team there, AC Milan?
I don't know. I don't know if Kyle Walker is going to fix their defensive problems at this stage.
You were the one who were like, "Oh, Man City lost him, so they're not as good."
Well, they just can't really afford to lose. Man City were so thin at defender that they started some 17-year-old that didn't even speak English that had like half a training session. Like at that point, then maybe you shouldn't be letting. At some point, then you shouldn't be letting like Kyle Walker.
Oh, they have Emerson too. That's great.
Spurs it looks like they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, but I feel like signing Joao Felix, this is like getting to the level of the Tobias Funk meme from Arrested Development. Maybe it will work for us. Like,
can you say that name again? It
feels like Villas. Tobias
Funke.
Okay, yeah. Well, isn't that like a bit in the show that no one can say it anyway?
What?
So
everyone knows it.
Oh wow, Jack can't pronounce someone's name. This is, but it feels like an Aston Villa type of transfer window. They just threw a bunch of names out there, and maybe
I was talking to our Italian writer about this depth chart earlier, but I got it up on the screen right now. It's just absolutely ridiculous. You see all the names here. They added Kyle Walker. They already had Tomori. All these guys, like more or less Premier League cast-offs. Mentioned Emerson. Well, they got Musa over there as well. Ryan's guy, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, is sitting there in the midfield. His playing time has been off and on. Tammy Abraham is basically not playing, but it's just an interesting squad that they really haven't put it together. But just because it seems like a bunch of random guys, and who knows if they can play together. But Ryan, you got any thoughts on Milan?
Yeah, not really. The Joao Felix thing.
Whatever.
No, sorry, I was looking at other stuff.
you think they can play with a front 4-4-2-3-1 with Leao, Jimenez, Pulisic, and then Felix?
I don't know. Nah, I don't know.
Well, then they're not playing Rangers, and then who the hell is going to play? Like, someone's got to defend on that team.
We'll move it to a 4-3-3. You got Rangers, and I don't know. Pulisic can play back a little bit.
Hey, I pronounced that one right. Shout out to Tropical Bear who taught me how to pronounce Rangers. But,
Rangers and Fofana and Pulisic in a 4-3-3 midfield. Why not? Too much to ask. I don't know. You guys have anything else for this?
I saw your boy Willian's back at Fulham.
Yeah, my boy Willian.
Southampton got rid of your boy Adam Armstrong.
I got so many.
Yeah, I
boys.
saw that. West Brom. That's brutal. Brutal for poor Adam Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Evan Ferguson to West Ham, so that's interesting. The Nicholas Fulkrug transfer, great success.
Yeah, he's hurt.
They need that.
He's like 40.
That. They need
Fulkrug's
that.
40.
He's not a young guy, Nicholas Fulkrug.
No, he's not a young guy.
That was a ridiculous transfer.
Yeah, basically all of these are more or less injury related outside of Adam Armstrong, who clearly Juric decided he didn't want him in the Premier League and just gave him the boot. And as long as Sulemana and Onuachu are healthy, there's no reason. And Dibling's back as well, so there's no reason to give Adam Armstrong, who had like 30 goals in the championship last season, minutes. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys who just dominates championship, put him up in the Premier League, and it's like, can't really do the same things here. So just one of those situations.
Man, what a ridiculous lineup West Ham have put out lately. I'm just looking at this. They got James Ward-Prowse back. Man, this team is cursed. Mohamed Kudus needs to get transferred to a real club like as soon as possible for the sake of the soccer watching public.
Absolutely.
Maybe Bowen too.
They've gone to what they've been playing Sioux Fall in a back three.
With Aaron Cresswell in a back three.
Right, Cresswell's back too. It's very weird. That's what I'll say. But they did get Jared Bowen back. I think he scored in that return against Chelsea. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ferguson you get a number 9 in there, a real number 9, and lock some things because they really haven't been. Danny Ings, Mikel Antonio, like they really haven't had a number 9 that you can just like post right there and send the ball to. So maybe that changes things. Probably not, but maybe they can get back in the top 10.
Ryan, who's been great for West Ham this season? A guy who we praised, Juan Bissaka. I think he's been excellent for West Ham. Man,
he has.
Spot on.
What a steal that was.
What a steal, indeed.
AJB Aaron Juan Bissaka.
Imagine how much even like a team like Spurs could have used him, or
oh my god,
even Man United even.
It's true.
I mean, I don't know if you would have done anything for Spurs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, maybe not.
Like their fullbacks are not the problem.
Their fullbacks are fine. Yeah. I mean, they've had to play like Davies and Gray.
We've been playing Archie Gray at left back. I would rather be. It's nothing against Archie Gray.
Archie Gray, the Swiss Army knife. He's played like every position on the field.
And he's 19. That's a sign for a promising young man right there. If he's able to, and he's been fine. So
I remember seeing his name on the Leeds team sheet, and I was like, this guy does not sound good.
I'm not. He's gotten some hate, but I think I'd still be. He's still promising.
I mean, we can name names. Mo Hendy is a very negative person about Tottenham Hotspur these days, and
it's hard not to be. But like Gray's only 18, so of course he's struggled a bunch this season playing in random positions, but he's also looked the part enough, and you can just tell that he's got big time talent, I think.
Anyways,
I don't know where his best position is though. A lot of these guys we talked about, you need to find him a position.
Who?
Like Archie Gray, all these guys that they just play anywhere. Like find him a position, and let him settle.
I think eventually he'll be a defensive midfielder.
Could be good there.
It just hasn't. They've just had so many injuries at center back that he's kind of had to play there more or less. But I don't know. Could be a decision for the next manager, I guess. But shouts to Niholio here. He's been listening this entire time, giving us comments. He's big on Cucho going to Real Betis over there. So pouring out for the Columbus Crew, and pouring out for a guy just dominating, a younger forward just dominating and scoring in every game in MLS. This season it'll be Zaha. We got to say Zaha, former favorite at Crystal Palace. Ryan used to live next to Zaha in Crystal Palace.
He'd go to the pub and sing with them after Crystal Palace wins. I mean, talk about a community.
Now he's playing at Charlotte. But that's all we got. You can find Ryan at Ryan Belongi, Jack at Jack Burkart. Also, you can find him at Underdog Soccer Twitter account. I think he runs that.
I don't run any of that.
That's one of his main jobs over there. So if they say something stupid, Jack said it. But I'm at Zdroik, also RotoWire Soccer. Thank you, everyone, for listening. The 600 plus listeners. A joy of a show. Bringing Jack back on to talk some
having me, guys.
Football goodness. But
yeah, thanks, Jack. That was fun.
We'll see everyone next week for some underdog.
Champions League on Monday.
Oh, Champions League is back. That's right. We got this weird Champions League schedule, which is whatever. But
3-game slates.
That's really exciting.
At Underdog, if I can do a little plug, we've been offering in-game on the Pick'em our champions, if that's an offering in your state. So I don't think there's much you can do in-game on other sites, so it's kind of fun, and check it out.
It's pretty interesting, actually. I mean, I haven't checked it out yet, but I've been planning to at least give it a run.
Ryan, can you check this out and let me know?
Just remember, I have a family to feed. Remember,
I can check it out. It is interesting. Like, there's probably some stuff you can do with in-game soccer if you're. Yeah, I don't know, some stuff that you can't do otherwise.
Yeah, and we know the numbers Underdog are putting out are bogus, anyways. So.
Yeah.
Why not benefit off of that?
I don't know. They're not as bogus now that Jack's there.
No.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's Friday evening after 5 o'clock for me. I'm getting out of here. See you guys next week.
See ya. Thanks, everyone.